It's Wednesday, August 3. In the headlines, police chief urges the public to report domestic disputes. Government announces a special sitting of parliament. Regionally in Guyana, cash grant for all registered school children. Internationally, Ukraine faces economic hardship. And in sports, India leads the 5-match T20 International Series. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I am Simone Absalom Gale. Police Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson is warning the public against posting fake news in the course of police investigations. He addressed the matter at a virtual press brief on Tuesday.
When I use the term, I'm not referring to news with inaccuracies. I'm referring to fabricated and misleading stories in relation to an investigation. Every time these fabrications are published, they not only divert the attention of the police, but they further traumatize the grieving family and loved ones and enrage the genuinely concerned. It begs the question, whose agenda does this serve? These fake news elements do not serve the interests of the family. They don't serve the interests of law enforcement, and they do not serve the interests of justice.
Turning to the issue of domestic disputes, the police chief is asking persons to report any incidents of domestic violence or family disputes before it escalates into violence.
Services, including our domestic violence intervention centers, are available to people, and I encourage persons to utilize these services.
The call follows the funeral of 31-year-old Kamisha Wright and her 4 children. Ms. Wright, along with her children, Kimanda Smith, 15, Shara Lee Smith, 11 years old, Rafaela Smith, 5 years old, and 23-month-old Kishawn Henry Jr. were found with their throats slashed at their home. Their cousin, 23-year-old Rasheen Barnett, has pleaded guilty to the murders. Miss Jamaica Festival Queen 2022 Veronique Bowen says she plans to use her reign to address unemployment among youth. Miss Bowen says her project, dubbed the Youth Opportunities Accessibility Program, will tackle unemployment as a nation. She explains that unemployment is closely linked to society ills such as crime, mental issues, and domestic violence. She says she will be visiting every parish to host sessions with experts to train youngsters on how to do cover letters, interview etiquette, and also emotional intelligence, branding, and marketing. Just in case you missed it, here's a look at Miss Bowen on the penultimate night of the Jamaica Festival Queen Competition 2022.
Reporting live from the National Indoor Sport Centre, I'm Veronique Bowen, Miss Kingston and St. Andrew Festival Queen. Nationalist, cultural fanatic, and a firm believer in the statement, if you can't beat the fair, just do it scared. This 22-year-old journalist, master student, and entrepreneur, little but Talawa.
Emancipation Day has come and gone, but the appreciation of our long journey from the past, from oppression and injustices, has not waned. To mark Jamaica's 60th year of independence and the 20th year of existence of the Office of the Political Ombudsman, the OPO has published a civic education handbook titled Jamaica Strong and Free. Political Ombudsman Donna Parchment Brown said the book captures both the aspiration and inspiration for more civic knowledge. PBCJ's Raquel Robinson sat down with Mrs. Parchment Brown in a special report dubbed Jamaica Strong and Free.
Civic education, something so important that so few know the meaning of. We all know what it means to be a citizen of Jamaica, to be a Jamaican. But do we really and truly understand our roles here on the island as citizens? The Office of the Political Ombudsman recently released the handbook, Jamaica Strong and Free, a civic education handbook aimed at doing something greatly needed right now, reinstilling a sense of duty and pride in being Jamaican. Civics is the study of the rights and obligations of citizens in a society. This is a very cut and dry definition, and in actuality, it is one of the vertebrae that form the backbone of a nation. But political ombudsman Donna Parchment Brown has her own way of phrasing this.
Civic education is like the lubricant of a very good machine, or the gas that gets a car going well. It's a thing that allows members of the public to know what their rights and responsibilities are, that helps them develop a sense of civic pride, that is pride in nation and pride in their own role as citizens. So that education equips us with the tools to function effectively in our countries.
Pride is a double-edged sword. It can be our downfall, and it could be something that motivates us to improve, be better at what we do, better than we were yesterday.
When you're an owner of something, when you believe you're the owner and you believe that it's valuable to you and that you can add value to it and that what you contribute is seen as worthy, that gives you a sense of self-esteem, of pride, of responsibility, and gives you the opportunity to really enjoy the space you're in. And so this is why civic education causes people to perhaps go and serve on a jury, or go out and vote, or help their neighbor when they're in a crisis, because they are part of a whole.
The Ombudsman says there is a need for civic education to promote an enlightened and responsible citizen.
I think lack of civic education around the world has led us to see something that's called the creeping loss of democracy, where I know nothing, not my problem, not my responsibility, it's for the bigger heads. And what that means is that the risk of a country being less than it should be for the citizens arises. If citizens don't cooperate with the government, and the government doesn't consider itself to be accountable and that it needs to be transparent, that's a recipe for disaster.
In the last government election, the voter turnout was the lowest recorded in the island's history. It now begs the question if in the past, civic education held more authority than it does now.
It was more prominent because it was being taught in schools at a certain point. But in the heyday of Jamaicans' engagement in politics in the 50s and in the 60s and so on, that was a time of nation building and nationhood that really excited them. And in some ways that has waned. And so what this might do is reignite, as we say, Jamaica 60, reigniting for greatness. So yes, I think it's really important now for us to have it.
Civics should be one of the cornerstones of the nation. Therefore, it must be rubbing shoulders with another building block of a country, the Constitution. Something Mrs. Parchment Brown fondly remembers from her own childhood.
When I was a young girl, I think going to high school, my father gave me a copy of the Jamaica Constitution, a printed copy. It was really fantastic to know that there was a document around which everything in Jamaica would revolve. You know, it created duties and rights for different people. Now, what we have done in the Civic Education Handbook is to give the Constitution in a nutshell. But I would encourage every Jamaican to go online, read your Constitution, see what the Bill of Rights says, see what the institutions are that are established so that we can have a better understanding. And if you're in that 15 to 30 age group that we're targeting, that's very easy for you to do. You're researching a lot of material online. Constitution is pretty interesting. It's pretty good reading.
For the full feature, go to our YouTube page and watch it at PBC Jamaica. Namibia's President Hage Geingob has cancelled his planned visit to Jamaica amid threats of protest by his country's civil servants. Geingob and his First Lady were expected to be in Jamaica August 4 to 8 as special guests at Jamaica's 60th anniversary of independence celebrations. The Namibian president was also expected to address a special sitting of the parliament, hold bilateral discussions with Prime Minister Andrew Holness and other Jamaican government officials, and pay a courtesy call on Governor General Sir Patrick Allen. A joint sitting of the Senate and the House of Representatives in commemoration of the 60th anniversary of Jamaica's independence will be held at George William Gordon House on Friday, August 5 at 2 p.m. His Excellency, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen, Governor-General of Jamaica, is expected to address the House. The Governor-General represents the Queen on ceremonial occasions such as the opening of Parliament, the presentation of honours and military parades. Sir Patrick Allen was appointed Governor-General of Jamaica on February 26, 2009. Time now for the business report. Grace Kennedy's revenues are looking good. We have that story plus your regular market updates and more. Denita Rodney reports.
Grace Kennedy Limited is reporting that it achieved revenues of over $70 billion for the 6 months ended June 2022, representing an increase of 14.6% or $9.24 billion over the corresponding period in 2021. Commenting on the company's half-year performance, CEO Don Webby remained cautiously optimistic and attributed the good performance to the GK team, who he said remains unwavering in their commitment and keenly focused on executing the company's strategic initiatives. Now for your market updates. In foreign exchange trading for Tuesday, August 2, the US dollar sold for an average of $153.92. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $120.32. The pound sterling traded for $186.17, and the euro sold for an average of $158.67. The following reflects the movement of the JSE indices in Tuesday's trading session. The JSE index declined by 3,817 points to close at over 300,000 units. The junior market index declined by 13 points to close at over 4,000 units. The combined market index declined by 3,695 points to close at over 300,000 units. And the All Jamaican Composite Index declined by 5,179 points to close at over 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 110 stocks, of which 35 advanced, 56 declined, and 19 traded firm. Stocks advanced for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited Variable Preference, 1834 Investments Limited, and Berger Paints Jamaica Limited. Stocks declined for Access Financial Services Limited, AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, and Barita Investments Limited. Trading firm were 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, Siboney Group Limited, and Epley 7.50% preference shares due 2024. The companies that represent the overall volume leaders were Force Rich Company and Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited with over 3 million units, and Dollar Financial Services Limited with over 1 million units. In regional stocks, in Trinidad and Tobago, Clico Investment Fund was the only active security posting a volume of over 9,000 shares. Zero securities were traded on the Barbados Stock Exchange. Bahamian residents can expect a continual rise in prices as the central banks are reporting the inflationary rate is creeping up to 5%. The rise comes as the US is projecting a recession in the coming months.
As Bahamians continue to feel the brunt of rising prices, Central Bank Governor John Roll says the local inflationary rate is creeping up to 5%. His comments follow an IMF World Economic Outlook report, which revealed inflation is expected to remain stubbornly high, adding a return to normalcy isn't expected until 2024.
The average inflation rate in the Bahamas will continue to move a bit higher in the near term. Right now, the official estimates have been placing the Bahamian inflation rate below 5%.
This, Roll says, is still significantly higher than the last 2 years. Back in April, the IMF projected consumer prices in the Bahamas will increase by 7.3% this year. The central bank governor adding that BPL's decision to absorb costs has contributed to a slower rise in inflationary rates.
Since we are importing largely goods that originated in the U.S., that we are going to see more of that reflected in our prices. Where we've had some hold off, I believe, in the Bahamas is for a while the the pass-through to electricity cost has not been as direct as in the past.
And with U.S. economists predicting a mild recession this year, Roll is saying it doesn't necessarily mean a contraction in the local economy.
But we should understand that growth has been downgraded in terms of the outlook for economies globally, and the Bahamas is no exception.
In market data for oil prices were broadly stable as the OPEC Plus producer group said it would raise its oil output target by only 100,000 barrels per day, dashing U.S. hopes of a meaningful supply boost. Brent crude futures were down 14 cents at $100.40 a barrel, and West Texas Intermediate crude slipped by 31 cents to $94.11 a barrel. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney.
In regional news, we start in Guyana, where the Ministry of Education on August 2 started the distribution of a $30,000 education grant for all children in the public and private education system.
A lot of work went into getting this done properly, efficiently, smoothly, and to make sure you spent as little as possible to collect this grant. Today, I want you to be walking witnesses. You will see yourself that when you go to the table to get your grant, to get your $30,000 for each child, you will see that nobody is going to ask you how you voted. Nobody is going to ask you to take off your mask or take off your hat so that we could see the color of your skin or the texture of your hair. Nobody is going to ask you whether you're male or female. Nobody is going to ask you how you prayed last Sunday or last Friday. Nobody is going to ask you which street you come from. The rich street or the less rich street. This grant is for every single Guyanese student.
Minister of Education Priya Manik Chand. The minister has also issued a clear warning to private school operators that the payment of the grant should not be dependent on the payment of school fees by parents. A number of private schools have been telling parents that they need to first pay off all school fees before the grant is made available to them. The education minister has said there is no such condition set out for the payment of the grant, and private schools should not make any such demand. She reminded that the cash grant is a gift from the government of Guyana to the children of Guyana to assist with their preparations for the new school year, and therefore private schools should not be setting conditions related to their private contracts with the parents. Over $6 billion will be paid out this week to school-aged children.
In St. Lucia, crime reduction specialist Dr. Niels Chitan has called for the Peace Initiative strategy as a means of fighting crime to be reconsidered. Dr. Chitan has teamed up with the government of St. Lucia and other partners to conduct training and a series of programs in Bruceville, Beaufort, and Bordelis Correctional Facility. Here's more in this report.
In applauding various crime-fighting strategies and joint operations conducted by members of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, which have resulted in the arrest of criminals, crime reduction specialist Dr. Niels Chitan discloses that St. Lucia may have to look for the basis of a peace initiative. Dr. Niels Chitan is an international social skill consultant and crime reduction specialist who holds a PhD in social and behavioral sciences and have worked with various regional governments and international organizations to help reduce criminal activities in countries.
I've seen that kind of a peace initiative across the Caribbean. I mean, I work from Jamaica to Trinidad and Tobago, right? A peace deal. I'm even hearing some places that they're paying criminals, right? That's a bandit approach. That's a bandit. We have, if you go on my website, if you go on my YouTube channel, you will hear the testimonials of guys whose heart to be touched. We work in the gang-infested areas.
Dr. Chitan says there must be a collective partnership in an effort to make inroads as it relates to crime.
I try to keep out of the political divide, right? That's why wherever I go and run consultations, I ask for everybody to come in. Opposition to come in, the ruling party to be, excuse me, because to get sustainability, we don't know look at what happened in Grenada, my island, right? Dr. Mitchell was in power for 25 years. All of a sudden, he's not in power again, right? But we have made inroads into because we are here and I've adapted. You know, living in St. Kitts for 3 years, I love the motto. And the national motto is country above self. And when I come to an island, that's my motto, country above self. I'm here for the people, man. I'm here for the grassroots, because really and truly, we hardly see a police. We hardly see a politician being cuffed and put in jail.
The Vice-Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, has been elected to serve on the Governing Council for the Association of Commonwealth Universities. The UWI, in a statement, said that Beckles will be responsible for overseeing the association's activities and determining its future strategic direction. His appointment is for a 3-year period ending August 2025. The ACU is the world's first and oldest international university network, established in 1913 to provide a forum for universities to share information, knowledge, and ideas. The ACU Council comprises vice-chancellors from across the Commonwealth, each of whom has been nominated and elected by their peers within the ACU membership network, and it also acts as a trustee for the association. In the Bahamas, Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Michael Darville says the Davis administration is getting closer to obtaining monkeypox vaccines. Dr. Darville says those vaccines are slated to come in a few months with the help of the Pan American Health Organization.
I cannot say the exact time, but apparently it's going to become sooner than later. The amount, cannot say the amount, but we want to thank PAHO, who's working not only with the Bahamas, but throughout the region to ensure that we have vaccines for those who fall in a particular high-risk group. It's important to note that the approach with vaccination is not the same as COVID-19, and we will be revealing the way how we're going to deal with it in short order.
Dr. Darville explains there will be robust screening and training. He previously indicated health officials are working with PAHO to secure vaccines for monkeypox. As for when those vaccines will become available, Dr. Darville had this to say.
We are definitely in the community. We are presently starting consultations with those at the border, customs, immigration, some of our uniformed individuals.
In international news, the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war has crippled Ukraine's economy. At present, no one knows how many people are unemployed. More details from Al Jazeera's John Hendron.
Live in here, difficult and hard. Every day some explosion.
Vladislav lost his job as a cargo sailor, and Angelina discovered she was pregnant. They just bought a new apartment. These were the first days of the war. Now they borrow for the mortgage, medicine, and doctor visits. Sometimes it's not enough.
I have friends, some family. Yes, I borrow at these people money for pay because I can't pay. Our owner company, this apartments, say you should pay, you must pay. Yes, and I not have any choice.
In the southern port city of Odessa and across Ukraine, the war has shut down fishing, tourism, nearly everything. Lika Besteshchova owns 3 restaurants here. 2 are closed, but she reopened the 3rd. She considers it an act of patriotism.
All of the years that we've been working were successful, so I can afford to keep my staff busy and to keep people working, and I think in a way it is patriotic, so I can afford it. I mean, I'm ready to lose here.
Sometimes it feels almost normal here, until it doesn't. Outside, there's a loud boom, a Russian strike. Then, an air raid siren.
It feels safe from here, and being here feels safe from the inside, but it is a big illusion.
But she says she won't keep it open through the winter. The few remaining tourists will all be gone. Just south of the ports in Odessa is the town of Zatoka, a resort area where people come to vacation. But they're not coming here anymore because of the perils of war. A Russian missile strike hit this residential area, and you can see the devastation. Somehow, no one was killed in these destroyed homes, but little is left intact.
As you see, we're trying to save some things like this bed, because this is not much that left here after this explosion.
Little left, little work, and constant danger.
From these explosions, our life high risk, and we can die, and everybody can die. Yes, that's why we're afraid for our life.
They also fear for their child's future.
It will be our chapter in our life, and we should to be stronger. I want peace in our country.
With all Ukrainians, Vladislav and Angelina journey through a perilous present to an uncertain future.
In sports, India took the third T20 International at Warner Park in St. Kitts, and now they're leading the match series 2-1. Here's more in this report.
The Windies took first strike and started off well, registering 57 for the first wicket before Brandon King departed for 20. Fellow opener Kyle Mayers led the scoring with a rapid 73 from 50 balls, supported by Rovman Powell's cameo 23. The home side finishing on 164 for 5 from their 20 overs. India lost Rohit Sharma early as he retired hurt due to a back injury. However, the visitors continued at pace, motoring to 105 before their first wicket fell. Surya Kumar Yadav top scored for India with a quick-fire 76. Akil Hussain grabbed 1 wicket for 28 runs. They eventually cruised to their 165-run target with an over to spare, winning by 7 wickets. The 4th and 5th T20 matches are scheduled for Lauderhill in Florida.
In the spirit of celebrating Jamaica's independence, we end this newscast with a piece from teen poet Samoya Banton. She's one of the slated performers in the upcoming Jamaica Poetry Festival 2022.
What a time to be Jamaican, beauty and the nation.
What a time of jubilee, the golden trumpets sound. There is joy and laughter all around. She is free, free from the shackles of her colonial rulers. 60 years free, 60 years of independence. What a time of jubilee. 1, 2, 3. Shellyan, Sharika, and the One Hera. What a gift for the 60th Jamboree. All Jamaicans from yard and abroad run out upon the celebration. Black, green, and gold. What a story to be told. An island nation with a people so fierce and bold. There's nothing wrong with we that can't be right with we. From the sky to the sea, an island nation, a once enslaved country, finally free, free to be. The goatskin drums knock and the people sing and rock as the feeling of freedom filters through the air with the sound of the people's cheers. What a time of jubilee. The golden trumpets sound. There's freedom all around. She is free. 60 years free.